I will mark you forever with this iron, Senior Bidemi sneered, advancing towards Awa. Awa sat paralyzed on the cold floor, her heart pounding in her chest as Bidemi's friends cheered her on, their laughter echoing in the dark, cramped room. Cornered with nowhere to escape, Awa's only defense was her desperate pleas. No, please stop, she screamed, her voice crackling with fear. But her cries were drowned out by the mocking voices around her. Suddenly, Awa jolted awake, her body drenched in sweat. She sat up in bed, her heart racing, the terror of the nightmare still gripping her. She glanced at the clock. It was 3 a.m. With a heavy sigh, she ran a trembling hand through her hair, the memories of her past haunting her once again. Hi bestie, if you're watching to this point, please subscribe. Turn on your post notifications to always be notified when I post a new video. And please don't skip my ads, they really help this channel. Share and yeah, back to the story. It's been 10 years, she whispered to herself, the weight of those words pressing down on her. Despite the decade that had passed, the trauma from her secondary school days still lingered, refusing to fade away. At 23, Awa was a successful therapist, dedicated to helping others overcome their own traumas. Yet, she remained a prisoner to her own, unable to escape the nightmares that haunted her at night. Awa wrapped her arms around her knees, drawing them close to her chest as she tried to steady her breathing. She was an expert at guiding her clients through their darkest memories, but when it came to her own, the scars were still too deep, the pain too raw. She stared into the darkness of her room, determined yet again to find a way to heal, even if it meant facing her worst fears all over again. It was her day off and she decided to take her health more seriously. She read somewhere being active will help her mind. As Awa stepped into the fitness center, her sneakers squeaking softly against the polished floor, she adjusted her gym bag on her shoulder, scanning the room filled with people engaged in various workouts. Her gaze landed on Tade, a tall and well-built fitness coach, demonstrating a new routine to a group of clients. His movements were fluid, and his voice carried a confidence that drew everyone's attention. As Tade finished his demonstration, he glanced up and their eyes met. For a moment, the bustling noise of the gym seemed to fade away. Awa felt a jolt of electricity course through her heart pounding in her chest. Tade's expression shifted from one of concentration to surprise, and then to something warmer, more inviting. Unable to look away, Awa offered a shy smile. Tade's lips curved into a grin, his eyes lighting up with curiosity. He excused himself from his client and walked over to her, each step measured and deliberate. "Hi, I'm Tade," he said, extending his hand. "Hawa," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper, as she took his hand, feeling the warmth and strength of his grip. "First time here?" he asked, his eyes never leaving hers. She nodded, feeling a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. "Yeah, I just got into fitness and I thought I'll check this place out." "Well, you've picked a great spot," Tade said, his smile widening. "I could give you a tour if you like." "I would love that," Awa responded, her heart racing. As they walked through the gym, Awa found herself captivated by Tade's easy charm and the way his eyes seemed to sparkle when he talked. She realized she hadn't just walked into a new gym. She might have just stepped into a new chapter of her life. And right she was, because as the days turned into months, Tade and Awa began to go on dates, and for some strange reason, since she met Tade, her nightmares reduced. The two enjoyed each other's company, and one day, as the soft glow of the setting sun cast a warm hue over the beach, the waves gently lapping at the shore, Awa and Tade strode hand in hand, the sand cool beneath their feet. The evening was perfect, a gentle breeze rustling the leaves of the palm trees lining the beach. Awa laughed at something Tade had said, her eyes sparkling with joy. Tade watched her, his heart swelling with love. He led her to a secluded spot where a small table was set up with candles and flowers. The soft glow of the candles illuminating their faces. "Tade, this is beautiful," Awa whispered, her eyes wide with surprise and delight. "I wanted tonight to be special," Tade said, his voice tender as he took both her hands in his. "Awa, you've brought so much light into my life. You've stood by me, believed in me, and loved me in ways I never thought possible." Awa's heart raised as she realized where this was leading. Tears welled up in her eyes, her breath catching in her throat. Tade dropped to one knee, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. "Awa, will you marry me?" Awa gasped, her hands flying to her mouth as she nodded, unable to speak. Tade opened the box to reveal a stunning ring, the diamond catching the light of the setting sun. "Yes, Tade, yes," Awa finally found her voice, her tears flowing freely as she reached out to him. Tade slipped the ring onto her finger, his own eyes glistering with unshed tears. He stood, pulling her into his arms as the waves crashed behind them, the sound mingling with their laughter and joy. They kissed, sealing their promise to each other under the fading light of the sun, their hearts beating as one. All through the courtship of Awa and Tade, Awa met his family and they loved her. Her family also adored Tade. It was as if the universe was finally blessing her for everything she had ever been through. One Saturday, as Awa stepped into the gym, she saw Tade speaking to a stunning lady who had her hands wrapped around his neck as they spoke. A pang of jealousy shot through Awa's heart as she cautiously approached them, her mind racing with questions. She had never seen Tade so close to another woman. As she drew closer, Tade looked up and his face broke into a warm smile. "Awa, dear you are," he called out, gently disentangling himself from the woman's embrace. "I've been wanting to introduce you to someone special," he said. The woman turned and Awa's breath caught in her throat. There was something hardly familiar about her, but Awa couldn't quite place it. "This is my sister Bidemi," Tade said proudly, wrapping an arm around Bidemi's shoulders. "She's just gotten back from abroad." Awa's heart skipped a beat, the name sending a chill down her spine. But as she looked at Bidemi's friendly, welcoming smile, the memories of her tormentor seemed like a distant nightmare. She had changed so much. Her face was softer, her demeanor kinder. There was no hint of the cruelty Awa remembered from her school days. "Nice to meet you, Awa," Bidemi said, extending a hand. "Tade's told me so much about you," she smiled. Awa forced a smile, shaking Bidemi's hand. "Nice to meet you too, Bidemi. Tade's spoken a lot about you as well." Bidemi laughed, a pleasant sound that contrasted sharply with the haunting memories Awa carried. "All good things, I hope." "Of course," Awa replied, her voice steady, despite the turmoil inside her. She looked at Tade, who was beaming with pride and happiness. "Bidemi is going to be in town for a while," Tade explained. "I'm so glad you two can finally meet." Awa nodded, her mind racing. She hadn't expected this. How could she reconcile the kind, welcoming Bidemi in front of her with the terrorizing bully from her past? "Well, I need to get back to my workout," Bidemi said, glancing at Tade. "But we should all grab dinner soon. I would love to get to know you better, Awa." "I like that," Awa replied, her voice betraying none of the inner conflict she felt. As Bidemi walked away, Tade turned to Awa, wrapping his arms around her waist. "Isn't she great? I missed having her around." Awa leaned into his embrace, trying to shake off the lingering unease. "Yeah, she seems wonderful," she said, her mind still reeling from the unexpected encounter. They watched Bidemi disappear into the crowd of gym goers. Awa's thoughts, a whirlwind of past and present. She knew she would have to confront her past sooner or later, but for now, she clung to the warmth of Tade's embrace, hoping that the love they shared would be strong enough to face whatever lay ahead. Awa moved in with Tade a few months before their wedding, at his insistence, to help them get to know each other better. Tade's sister Bidemi, who was still in town, also stayed with them. The arrangement was meant to be a harmonious blend of family and future, but beneath the surface, tension brewed. At first, Awa tried to coexist peacefully with Bidemi. However, the memories of her high school torment lingered, and she soon found herself unable to fully let go of the past, especially as a nightmare returned, and this time it was as if she relived her past over and over. One evening, Awa added salt to Bidemi's favorite milk. The next morning, Awa made sure to be seated having breakfast as well when Bidemi had hers. Bidemi's shout of horror echoed through the house as she spat out her salty breakfast. Awa laughed as she was also having breakfast at the time. Her coffee splattered everywhere because of the intensity of the laughter. Awa, did you do something to my milk? Bidemi asked, her voice strained but without anger. Awa feigned innocence. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I must have mixed up the containers while refilling. I didn't mean to, I promise. Bidemi accepted the apology with a skeptical eye. A few days later, Bidemi went to the market to purchase ingredients to make stew. After she was done cooking, she went to shower as Awa suggested. Once she was in the bathroom, Awa added pepper soup spices to Bidemi's stew, making it so spicy it made Bidemi's eyes water and her throat burn. The horrified look on Bidemi's face when she took a spoonful of her rice and stew was almost worth the guilt that Awa felt afterward. I tasted this thing now, Bidemi said, wondering how she, a chef, made the mistake of adding extra pepper to her stew. These pranks continued for a while, each seemingly innocent, but subtly malicious. Bidemi began to suspect that Awa's actions were intentional, but couldn't prove it. One day, while preparing jollof rice for a family gathering, Awa added an excessive amount of salt just before Bidemi took over the cooking. The dish was almost inedible, and as everyone spat out their meal, Bidemi was embarrassed. If she wants to play games, then games she will get, Bidemi muttered to herself, her eyes narrowing in determination. Bidemi prank started small, hiding Awa's towel before she headed out, replacing her cream with itching powder, or locking her out intentionally. Awa knew Bidemi was retaliating, but kept the facade of unintentional mishaps alive. The pair didn't want Tade to suspect anything, so no one reported the other. One evening, Bidemi decided to take it up a notch. She added crayfish to Awa's egusi soup. Knowing she didn't eat crayfish, she assumed Awa just didn't like the taste. However, the prank went horribly wrong. Awa choked and collapsed, gasping for breath as her throat closed up. She was allergic to crayfish. Tade rushed to Awa's side, his face pale with fear. Awa, are you okay? Bidemi stood frozen, horrified by what she had done. Tade called for an ambulance, and they rushed Awa to the hospital. In the emergency room, as the doctors attended to Awa, Bidemi caught a glimpse of her back when the medical gown shifted. There, etched in old scars, was a horrifying reminder of her high school days. A wave of realization crashed over Bidemi. Oh no, Awa. Tade, still shaking, sat next to Bidemi. Do you know about her back? Bidemi shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. What happened to her? Tade sighed deeply. She was bullied terribly in secondary school. Someone tormented her so badly that she still has nightmares. I never got all the details, but she carried those scars for 10 years. Bidemi's face drained of color. Tade, I think I was that bully. Tade looked at her stunned. What? Tears streamed down Bidemi's face. I was horrible in secondary school. I did things to people that I'm not proud of. But I didn't realize Awa was one of them. The weight of her action crushed Bidemi. When Awa finally regained consciousness, Bidemi was the first to approach her. Guilt and sorrow etched on her face. Awa, I'm so sorry, Bidemi whispered, her voice trembling. I didn't realize it was you. Awa looked at her, tears brimming in her eyes. You were my worst nightmare, Bidemi. I've carried that pain for so long. I know, Bidemi said, her voice breaking. And I'm so sorry. I never understood the impact of what I did. I'm ashamed of who I was. Awa took a deep breath. Her heart heavy, but a sense of relief washing over her. I played pranks on you because I couldn't let go of the past. But seeing how much you've changed, I know bullying is wrong. I forgive you, Bidemi. The two women embraced, their past grievances dissolving in the wake of their newfound understanding. Tade watched them, relief and hope in his eyes. The chaos between them had led to healing and growth. As they left the hospital, the bond between Awa and Bidemi had transformed. What began as a rivalry had turned into a path to redemption, forgiveness, and a stronger family. They walked out together, ready to face the future with a new sense of unity and respect. Thanks so much for listening to this point, guys. I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I enjoyed making it. If you're not subscribed already, please click the subscribe button and turn on your post notification to always be notified when I post a new video. And as always, I'll see you in my next video. Bye, besties!